are live. Hi, Janelle.
Meir.
Hi, how
From the
are
other side of
you?
the world. I'm good.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you. I'm
You
gonna,
look amazing.
I'm gonna share the broadcast on my Facebook here.
That's good. Live. Hi, Janelle.
Meir.
Hi,
From
how
the
are
other side of
you?
the world. Maybe I
Good.
shouldn't do that. There. Okay.
Uh, you can,
I'll share it
you
when
can,
it's done.
but yeah. I mean, you can share it. I think just you'll need to mute your microphone or whatever on that other computer. Or is it the same computer or different one?
It's the same computer. That's
Ah,
okay. I'll do it.
okay. No problem. Okay.
All
So
right.
how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's beautiful here in Clearwater, Florida, and
Yeah, it's
yeah.
beautiful here in heaven,
Oh,
Cape
well, I
Town.
bet it is. Yeah. So we've been working on our business, focusing on eye candy homes and helping it grow. And we've also been developing a few new products to help other real estate investors become more successful, either from the start or um, debugging their current business. So we're
Yeah,
really excited about some of the things we've been creating.
yeah, me too.
Yes, and you've been helping a lot with it.
Yeah,
So, how's the quarantine been for you?
I've been quarantining the quarantine.
Very smart. Very, very
Yeah,
smart.
so it didn't really affect me. And generally, I think that in South Africa, it's a problem for most people because it's quite a long time. I think it is now probably 7 weeks or something like that. So I think most people suffering in South Africa, but people start to realize that it's nonsense, that quarantine is the wrong thing to do. It's you never stop a pandemic by quarantine. You don't stop a virus by quarantine. So I think people start to realize that it's nonsense.
Okay, okay. Well, I've got a few questions. If you don't mind, I'll
Yeah,
just jump right in. So,
shoot.
speaking of the quarantine and the epidemic or pandemic, um, a lot of people are having a really big um, economic hardship from this pandemic.
Yeah,
Job loss, their retirement funds are disappearing, and entrepreneurs like us, we have multiple streams of income. We're doing okay, and but I want to find out from you, what do you recommend for the average person?
yeah. For the average person, the first thing, the most important thing is to stop being afraid. It's the most important thing because first of all, fear is an unwillingness to communicate, and the only thing you're afraid of is being afraid. The only thing you're afraid of is you're afraid of being afraid, because you don't really afraid of anything else. So, for example, you remember we went to do this bungee jumping, and
I was very afraid.
so you're afraid all the way up to the jump. So on the way on the bus, I had I don't know 30 people or something on the bus, and everyone, as we got closer to the bridge to jump, people become more and more and more afraid, and they become really really afraid when we're about to jump. But then when they jumped, they were amazingly happy. Why? Why? And where's the logic? Look, when you are on the bus, you are totally secure, but you're very afraid. When you're on the bridge, you are totally secure, but you're afraid. But when you jump, when it's really dangerous, you're very happy. Why? Because what you're afraid of is being afraid. But once it happens, you're not afraid of anymore. You are either happy or in pain or something, but you're not afraid. Now, what's happening when you're afraid? Because fear is a state of imperception, because fear is a situation where you don't see, because fear is a situation when you don't perceive. What you're afraid of usually do not exist. Yes, does it make sense? What you're afraid, because you don't see, there's nothing there. So because it's what you're afraid of do not exist, what you will do will be illogical, because you're fighting something that do not exist. So you become illogical and impractical, and you're actually causing damage when you're afraid. So any situation, to handle any situation, on the only way to handle situation is to look at the data and not to run away from it. And fear is actually running away from the data. So the first thing, the most important thing is to stop being afraid, not succumb for an invitation to become afraid. And you need to know that if someone trying to make you afraid, he's actually lying to you. Anyone that try to make you afraid actually lie to you, because in reality, there is nothing to be afraid of. Seriously, there's nothing to be afraid of. Because right now what's happening when someone here, well, you know, if someone got corona or someone is sick in corona, like what you really think he's about to die. Mm-hmm. But it's not true. It's not true. Just because you've been brainwashed to think that the corona is a really dangerous thing, you're afraid. But in reality, it's not. Mm. In reality, it's not. Flu is as dangerous, if not more, than corona. It's more dangerous. Flu is more dangerous to young people than corona. Flu is much more dangerous for a young person than corona. For anyone over the age of 65 that have some other diseases, corona is dangerous. But below the age of 65, and if you are not already sick but serious diseases, then corona is nothing. So the first thing is, don't be afraid. Do not succumb to invitation to be afraid, because for as long as you'll be afraid, you will also be useless. The moment that you'll stop being afraid, you will realize that something can be done about the situation. Whatever is your situation, if you will not be afraid, you will come up with an idea how to handle it. I had many people talking to me, many entrepreneurs, many of my students talk to me about what are we going to do. The moment that they stop being afraid, we had the solution. And actually, the corona is the best thing that happened to people that are not afraid, because most people are afraid, so you don't have competition. It's very easy to win. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
So the first thing is don't be afraid. That's okay. The first thing. Once you stop being afraid, you will look around and you will figure out what's the resources that you have, and you will see that there's something you can do about the situation. Now, if you don't know what to do, simply contact me, write to me on Instagram. Just follow me on Instagram, Meir Ezra Official, and just write me a private message. I will help you to find the solution. Mm. There's always a solution. That I can guarantee. There's always a solution as long as you start looking. Okay, as long as you start looking. You cannot look while you're afraid. Okay, makes sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I definitely see the truth in that. And it feels so empowering to know that you can do something about it.
Yeah.
It's really, really beautiful. And I will vouch for Meir when he says, write to him and he will respond. It is true. He will. For real. This man doesn't sleep. I know he'll respond. Okay. So when we're stuck in this fear and we want to look for the correct information to help us get out of the fear, how do I figure out what's the valid information and what's crap?
Yeah. So any information that makes you cause is probably right, and any information that makes you an effect is 100% wrong. When someone tell you that that's what it is and there's nothing to do about it, and you need to get into a box, preferably small box, and don't move and hope that you will not die, they're telling you that you are an effect. It is it is 100% not true. Why? Because the spirit, you are cause, you are naturally cause. And when someone tells you that you are not, he must be lying to you. So the general law is like that. When someone lies to you, he wants to control you. And when someone wants to control you, he lies to you. So when someone lies to you, he wants to control you. So if I'm married to you and I lie to you about, I don't know, about where I've been, I actually want to control you. I want to define where you will look and what you will think. Yes? Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if I control you and I say, you mustn't go and you mustn't do, and you should stay here and you must be careful and, I'm actually lying to you. There is something that I'm hiding. So you look and you'll see who is trying to control you in your life. That person is lying to you, because a person that loves you, a person that wants that you will grow, will not control you. He will actually empower you to control. He will give you the control. But if I'm controlling you, I'm actually taking away from you your power, and so I'm lying to you. So have a look. Who wants to control you? They're lying to you. End of story. There's no question about it. So you look at the data. In the data that they give you, is it in an effort to control you? Then the person that gives you that data, regardless of how high ranking he is, lies to you. And if they're actually empowering you to make your own decision, and if they trust you, and if they said, look, you make the decision, they're actually telling you the truth. Make sense? Yeah. So for example, let's take some ideas. Okay. So someone come to you and said to you, you must wear a mask. Okay. Well, they want to control you. You must wear a mask. They want to control you. If you were thinking if the mask was very important, they will be able to explain to you. You will understand the data, and you voluntarily use a mask. But since the data, the truth is that the mask blocks you from the ability to breathe and cause you to breathe your own CO2, and actually causing damage to you. It's actually making your body more acidic, and it makes a huge damage. But more important, since the virus is a tiny, tiny, tiny thing that the mask will never stop. Any mask will not stop it. Any normal mask will not stop it. It is nonsense to wear a mask. Totally nonsense. It is just damaging. That's why they need to control you, to force you to put on a mask, because a mask do not help. There is a lie. So when someone controls you, he lies to you. You get the idea? When someone wants to control you, he lies to you. So how do you know if the data is correct or not? That's the data. If there was people that shooting in the street next to your home, people just shooting in the street all day long, will you need a quarantine not to go out?
No.
No, of course not. So if you need a quarantine not to go out, it means there must be some kind of a lie going on. Because otherwise, people will explain to you what's going on, and you will get the data, and you will value it, and you'll say, you know what, even if someone put a gun to my head, I'm not going out. You don't need a quarantine. So when someone needs to control you, there must be a lie. And the more they want to control you, the bigger the lie.
Well, this makes me think of something that just happened earlier today with one of my friends. She took her 2 kids to a big open area, a park, and she almost got arrested. It's just insanity. So when you have this kind of control that's being enforced upon you, what do you do?
Okay, so what you do is 2 things. Number 1, you don't break the law. That's the first thing. But you do think, you do have a viewpoint, you communicate the viewpoint, and you don't agree. You don't agree do not mean to go and break the law. To not agree is to say, okay, you don't want me to go out, I would not go out, but I am not in agreement with that. And I will communicate it in as many ways as I can. I'm telling you that I don't agree with that. I will totally keep the law. I will not break the law, but I will communicate and communicate and communicate and say, I am not going to agree with that. Why? Why? Because there is something that is stronger than any atom bomb, something that's stronger than any bullet, something that's stronger than any energy. And that thing is an idea. An idea is stronger than anything. It can go through the thickest wall in the universe. You can take a fortress and close it from all over and put airplanes on top and submarines underneath and soldiers all around and prevent anyone from coming in. But in some way, somehow, an idea will go through. Because this soldier that's standing outside will somehow look and he will talk to the person that bring him, I don't know, food, or the person that delivered the water, or the person that delivered the mail, or something. There will be some external contact. And through that contact, the idea will go through the walls and will get to the other side of the wall and can change the mind of people and get them to look. And what's so powerful with an idea can convince you to look despite the fear, because the purpose of the walls is to create fear inside the walls and outside the walls. That's the purpose of the wall. That's the purpose of any wall, to fear, to create fear, and by that to make sure that you don't look, and by not looking, you then afraid because you don't look, you will feel the feeling of fear, and the thicker the walls, the more you will know there is something to be afraid of.
Wow.
And that's what you need to know.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
Wow. So the first step is overcoming that fear and then getting to a position where you can do something about it and create ideas, communicate,
and push the idea out of, I don't agree with that because it's a lie, and I'm not going to agree to be chained. And you will see that there was no slave society in history that didn't eventually broke the chains. What broke the chains is the idea. The idea went through, and somehow the idea got to people, and the idea was what broke the chain.
Wow, the powerful.
Powerful it is.
So powerful ideas. Okay, well, do we have time for more questions? How are we doing on
as many questions as you want.
Good. Okay, so changing gears now. No more coronavirus.
Yeah.
So I wear many hats. I'm a mom, a business owner, a wife, a housekeeper, an incubator. I'm pregnant.
Congratulations. Yes, girl. We have a girl coming.
Yes. And So I find myself on a day-to-day basis torn between picking which hat I should put on. I feel like if I'm spending time with the kids, I'm neglecting the business. If I'm working on the business, I'm neglecting the kids. And let's not even talk about the condition of the house. So I know you have many responsibilities. You're a businessman, a husband, a father. A lot of people look to you for advice. And how do you maintain a balance? How do you hold your hats and not just let things slip?
Okay, so I don't do things twice. What do I mean? If I touch something, I close it forever. Where the average person touch something, looks at it, think I will handle it later, and then later on he looks at it again, and now he double his job. And the very good people look at that 5 times before they actually decide that they have to do it. But before that, what happened, it goes like that. You need to do something. You look at it and you say, I'll do later. Once you say, I will do it later, immediately you already feel that there is something there that you need to do. So it's sitting there, okay? So because it's sitting there, what happened to you, instead of looking forward, you start to look backward. When you look backward, you stop actually seeing, and you get this feeling of fear. You're afraid of the amount of work that you have. And you look at that again, and you have now 2 cycles open, and you become even more fearful. And because you're afraid, you don't see. Because you don't see, you will not handle that, and you will go and try to handle something useless that you don't need to handle. And now, because you don't see and because you're afraid, you will not handle that correctly. And you will create more open things. And the end result is that you cannot actually handle almost anything unless you have a gun to your head that tells you to handle something. But even those handlings will be wrong because you do not see. You actually open cycles makes you blind. It makes you afraid, it makes you blind, and it makes you make mistakes. So the only way to succeed, the only way to manage all the things that happening around you is you touch it, you play it. You touch it, you play it. And if you will be brave enough to do it for a week, all of a sudden you will realize that actually you have so much time that you almost have nothing to do. There is not one person on earth that cannot increase his amount of production by, without too much effort, 10 times more.
Wow.
Provided that you don't do things twice, and you don't allow people to give you things incorrect, etc. But generally, don't allow yourself to do things twice. That's all you have to do, and all of a sudden you will discover that actually you're generally bored. There's not enough.
I think we've met before because that response really hits home.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I can really attest to the truthness of that because just yesterday I picked up a cycle that I had been delaying, and I dove into it, and it didn't take me nearly as long as I thought it would because I had that fear that was keeping me from just even looking at it. So I can really identify with that. But man, the discipline that it takes to actually handle something to completion. I like to start lots of things. And I'm still looking for that discipline, I guess, to
I don't think that you need a discipline or habits or any of those things. Because discipline, habits, all of that thing is not causative. Because if you look for something and you say, well, I don't have the discipline. What does it mean, the discipline? It means that I have to do something. Yes, I'm doing it because I have to do it. So you can do it because you have to do it only for so long. But if you do it because it's creative, because it's fun, because it's a game, then you don't need the discipline. Did you notice someone that having sex because he needs a discipline to do the sex? No. He's enjoying it, so he doesn't need a discipline, yes?
Yeah.
So the truth is you don't need a discipline. Discipline actually makes you, in effect, habits makes you saying, well, I'm so useless that I need a habit to tell me what to do. No, you need to make out of it such an amazing creation, such an amazing thing that you really like. And that's why you do it, because it's fun. And otherwise it's become more and more heavy and serious and painful. And okay, I will use discipline and I will want to stop, but I will not stop. So no, that's terrible. That's depressing. And no one can continue over time like that. The only way to do a lot of work is to make it fun. To turn the work into something fun. It's a game. And if you do that, all of a sudden, as much work as you have, it's not enough. You want more. You want more. You want more work because it's more fun. It's a totally different viewpoint.
Yes. I need to find a way to make doing the dishes fun.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You need to make it. And how do you make it? By a decision. Because what does it mean fun? You decide that you love it because you cause your own feeling. You cause your own feeling. You decide that it's fun and it's fun. You decide it's not fun and it's not fun. You decide it's difficult and it's difficult, or you decide that it's not difficult, so it's not. Really fascinating.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been married to a very special man for 17 years. And he's my business partner also. Do you have any tips for working with your spouse?
Yes. So when you work with your spouse, you have the problem of inertia. What do I mean? If you're the manager in the morning, and when you go back home, from the inertia, you continue to be the manager. And you cannot be the husband and the manager. You need to be able to close a cycle of action and say, okay, now I'm not the manager anymore. And you take a hat of a husband, and the head of a husband, it's definitely not the head of a manager. Yeah, it's totally different. And that switch is very, very difficult to do. And because of that, couples that work together usually have a lot of disagreement. One of them or both of them is unhappy. So you need to be able to define the hats and switch the hats. No, this is the time that's what the hat is, and this is the way that we're acting when I'm holding this hat. And when I'm holding a different hat, I'm acting in a different way. And if you cannot separate the hats and stop being A and then moving to B, then there will be only problems, lots of problems. So that's probably the most important thing when you work together. Of course, there's more, but that's the most important.
Okay. Wow. Well, those were the questions that I had today, but hopefully we can do another interview sometime soon. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Thank you.
Meir, you have a webinar coming up on Sunday, and it's about Yoga Sutras. So would you
Yes.
mind sharing a little bit? Because when I think of yoga, I think of like weird poses, and I just don't know much about it. So please, can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, actually, yoga is a very old knowledge that was designed as an attempt to get a person released from the burden of the body and entities that holding him down. So releasing the body from the effect of the body, the physical universe, and so on. What happened to yoga, like to most knowledge on this planet, that over the years it's been deteriorated. Why? There was some kind of an idea, and the idea has been deteriorated as it went through the years because people did not exactly understand what the idea was and why they didn't understand it, because whoever came up with the idea became important and not the idea. So they didn't make it their own. You understand? When the idea is not important, but the person that came up with the idea is important, the idea will deteriorate. But when the data is more important than the source, the data will not deteriorate because each person will make it his own. And when you make the data your own, you actually make sure that you don't degrade the data. You get the idea?
Yeah.
So what happened with the yoga, like most other ideas, it's got deteriorated. And today, when you read what the Yoga Sutra says, you cannot actually understand it. There is no way to understand it. There's way to invent, to guess, to do all kind of things. But when you take one piece of information or one sentence and you have 10 people that look at that sentence and they have 20 ideas, probably none of them know what he's talking about. So what I've done, I came and I said, well, okay, so we don't know what the Yoga Sutras are. The only way to actually recover them is to get every person a tool that will allow him to recall the Yoga Sutras so he will know. Not learn from me what they are, but actually recall, understand, or recall, not understand, recall what they are and so reconstruct them. So it's a different method of learning. Instead of looking at something and getting data, it's actually a method of removing data so you can be the one that knows, not the parrot that learn words and repeat them. Most people learn as a parrots. They hear something and they repeat it. And they consider themselves as knowledgeable, but they are not. They're just parroting something that they heard. What I say is you need to remove fake reality, remove nonsense. When you remove enough nonsense from the person, the end result is he knows. And it's a magical process. And anyone that study with me know this moment when you all of a sudden know. And when you know, you will never degrade what you know because you simply know. Like you know your name, you don't understand your name. So in these Yoga Sutras classes, I have a series of webinars where I take the participants at the beginning through the process of removing nonsense, removing false data, removing fake realities. And I get them to remove enough lies that all of a sudden they know. And once you know, the biggest thing happened. Like you actually understand the Yoga Sutras and get the effect of what they're supposed to give you at the same time. If you just understand them and don't get the result, you actually don't understand them.
So you're saying that even a regular person, not like a trained yogi, can access this ancient knowledge?
I said that the last yogi was here. People will not like it, but the last yogi was here 2,560 years ago.
Okay.
And if I will ask, what does it mean if a person will be able to understand or to define what a yogi is, you will understand that a yogi is not a person that deals with yoga. That's not a yogi. That's not the actual definition. So once you will know what is a yogi, you will see that there are no yogis here. But once you understand what it is, you'll know what you're going towards. And that state of a yogi is a state. That state is quite an unbelievable state to achieve. And it's achievable by any person that is brave enough, that is willing to break from the lies that you're holding to so strongly and start looking. Because once you look, you see that you will discover things that are wow. And how do you know if what you discover is really valuable? The result will be just unbelievable. The result in your life. It's not that you will just feel well and be no, it will be that you will feel amazing, but the physical universe, the result will react. If someone tells me, I'm very spiritual, I'm the most spiritual person, but I just don't have food to eat. I cannot create enough money to buy food. You are not spiritual, you are total effect. You're just hiding your being total effect by saying that you're spiritual. You get the idea?
Yeah.
You cannot be at high level of spirituality and be total effect of the physical universe, because the spirit is cause over the physical universe. And if you don't demonstrate the causation over the physical universe, you are not spiritual. You are just not confronting the problem. Make sense? It's not easy to hear, because a lot of people want to say that because they can do 5 amazing or 50 amazing poses or asanas, because I can do an amazing pose, I'm spiritual. No. If you can train your body to do something really amazing, do not mean that you're spiritual. Exactly the same way, if I can sing amazing, or if I can do amazing thing with kite surfing, do not make me spiritual. The fact that I can control a specific training with my body do not make me spiritual. What makes you spiritual is when you actually can bring about something out of nothing. That is when you are spiritual, and not a second before. Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, I will be there on Sunday for sure, and I invite you all to attend as well.
And me too. So how do you register? You go to www.meirezra.com/yoga. If you have any questions, simply private message me on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, my name is Meir Ezra, one word, Meir Ezra, and Instagram, Meir Ezra official. Follow me and ask me any question about any subject, and you will get not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Okay.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Meir. I appreciate your time. And I'll see you then on Sunday at the yoga class.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone that join us and listening. When I'm on an interview, generally I'm not taking notes of the people that are joining and so on, because my purpose is to deliver to the person that interview me the answers, and for you to get a complete answer. So if I will look who's joined and what, then I'm not actually with the interviewer And so I'm doing a disservice to you, the person that listening. So if you have any question, if you want to ask me any questions, ask me on a private message either before or after the interview, and I will answer during the interview, or I will answer you privately. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone, and we'll see you shortly again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, I'm stopping here, and I'm stopping here. Bye-bye. And good.